Welcome back to the Commanders Declassified podcast, your source for all the best Commanders talk out there. I'm with Mike tonight. Mike, how are you, man?
What's happening, B? I am great. A lot of fans aren't so great right now, but we'll talk about that in a few.
Yes, we're going to get to that straight away. But first, shout out to Ellie and to Eric. They are working hard tonight. We will see them this weekend for the pregame and the postgame. So we miss you guys. We'll see you soon. Mike, you hit the nail on the head. There was some big stuff that went down yesterday. Yesterday was the trade deadline in the NFL, and we heard rumblings people were going to get traded. Maybe one guy might get traded, but we did not think that there would be two guys and at the same position. So first, we got the news first yesterday that Montez Sweat was traded to the Chicago Bears from the second or for a second round pick. Your thoughts about that trade?
I was surprised that they actually pulled the trigger, and also surprised that they were able to get a full second round pick from Chicago. I didn't expect them to do it. Like I really thought that the trade would be a third with the condition on if he signs the extension, we'll get the second. Like a lot of teams reported. Um, John Kine, he's saying that he thinks that was the Falcons that put that out there that they would extend it to a second, trying to
Right,
up the
right.
price or, bluff or whatever. But I love the value. I just hate that we're losing Sweat because he was one of my favorite defensive players.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of impactful plays over the season. I mean, over a couple of seasons he's been here. One of my favorites being the pick six against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Like
that
I
was a good one.
love that play, and it just sucks that we won't be seeing that from him on the Washington's roster anymore.
Yeah. Montez Sweat was certainly a fan favorite, very popular, and he was productive. Was it high end production? Probably not, but it was consistent production. He always performed. Was he a Bosa? Was he a Miles Garrett? No. TJ Watt? No. But consistent performer. And you're right. To get a second round pick back for him, what do we hear all the time, Mike, from fans? Oh, we're going to get fleeced. This regime, the old Dan Snyder, all these old coaches, right? There's no faith in anybody here to negotiate a fair deal, fair return. Well, those days are gone, right? It's Harris and his team that are running things right now. As much as Ron's still here to take whatever bullets are left for his failed work as a head coach and GM. But the Harris group isn't messing around, and they got a second round pick. They worked this thing out. They had a high value asset, and they got a high draft pick, which will probably be the 35th overall pick in this upcoming draft because the Bears aren't very good. Um, Back, and I think that's great. Yes, he was a productive player, so yeah, we're going to miss that, and it's going to be up to this new regime to find replacements and or better coaching staff, all those kinds of things to kind of fill that void. But I like that we got good return back. These are things that smart teams do. We haven't been one of those
Mhm.
smart teams in years past, so I like it. Yeah, it sucks. Montez was a good guy, good person, productive. But hey, for the health of the team moving forward, we already got two guys that we paid big money to, a third while on the defensive line, while we still have huge holes in other parts of the team, would just be a little too much. So makes sense to me. But the team wasn't done yesterday, Mike. The team was not done at all. So a couple hours go by, and there's all kinds of names: Jacoby Brissett, Kendall Fuller, Cam Curl, anybody else out there,
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson. But it was Chase Young who got traded. Now this trade, there's a little bit more angst about this one because the compensation in return. Chase Young was traded to the San Francisco 49ers for a compensatory third round pick. And for everybody listening or watching, if you don't know, compensatory picks, third round picks, fourth round, fifth round, they come at the end of the draft or end of the round. So if it's a third round pick, it will be the last of the third round picks, is where that compensatory pick falls. But Mike, what was your thought about Chase Young getting traded right after Montez Sweat to the San Francisco 49ers?
I knew that everyone was going to complain about getting a third round back for a second round overall pick. Like when I saw it flash across my phone, I was like, oh, shoot. Especially after we traded Sweat for a second. I was like, oh, shoot, here we go. But two things I want to say about the Chase Young trade. Well, actually three. He wasn't coming back, like straight up. They wasn't going to re-sign him, especially for 20 plus million. Like, nah, it wasn't going to happen. So I'm glad that we were able to get back something from it. But also, the league sets the market. It's not like Washington went to teams and was like, we'll give y'all Chase Young for a third pick.
Yep.
No,
Right.
these were discussions that were probably had for weeks at a time or months ago. So it's not, like I said, it's not like Washington went to San Fran and was like, man, we'll give y'all Chase Young and y'all can give us a comp third. Like, why would a team do that? No,
Right.
that's not
Exactly.
what happened. I can tell you what happened. And I don't even know this for a fact. I'm just using common sense. There were probably about 4 or 5 teams that said we can't go higher than the fourth. The 49ers was like, shoot, we got an extra third. We actually got it from y'all.
Yeah.
When y'all signed Mayhew, hey, you can have this. Thanks. We'll take Chase Young. It's not even a guarantee that they're going to sign him. This is obviously a high-end rental for the 49ers. They're
Yep.
going all in. They want to win a Super Bowl this year. And I applaud them for making the move, but I also applaud Washington for pulling the trigger, not getting emotionally attached to players like they used to do under the Snyder era. I love
Yep.
Chase Young, a DMV native, just like myself. But at the end of the day, he wasn't producing enough for a second overall pick or to
Yep.
make $20+ million a season. It sucks, but that's the truth.
You're exactly right, and you made a great point about the market is set by other teams and if they value him the same way. And you're exactly right. A lot of teams are afraid of that knee. They don't know if he's going to be have a long, fruitful career. He had a severe knee injury, and those teams aren't going to offer up high draft picks and a big contract for somebody they just don't know how much they're going to get out of him. And then also too, the production when he has been healthy hasn't really been that great. Outside of the rookie year, which was a good year, it wasn't a great year, it was a good rookie year. The production hasn't been impressive, not of somebody of his talent, his caliber, and draft pedigree. So I was happy that they moved on from him because we've seen, in particular, Ron Rivera hold on to guys and not get anything for him. Brandon Sheriff straight up told Rivera, I'm not coming back. You can offer me big contracts. I'm going to free agency. And we got nothing for him but a third round comp pick. The second a player tells you they're not coming back, they're not re-signing, or you decide to not re-sign them, it's time for you to trade them. You have to get
Mm-hmm.
that value immediately, and don't let the season play out and then just have them walk away for nothing. And we've seen that happen here too often. We've seen Rivera do it too often. So it was great to see them say, hey, you know what? This was just a bad move on our part. We got to take what we can get and move on. So I'm excited about it because this tells me we've got professionals in place, adults in place who are making good decisions. Whether or not we're upset because Montez and Chase aren't here anymore. The honest truth is those 4D linemen weren't very good together. They may be good individual players, but when was the last time that D line dominated a game and we could say,
Mm-hmm.
what? We couldn't have won that game without the D line. That's rarely happened. I can only think back to the second half of the Arizona game this year, to where the defensive line really kind of took over the game. Certainly, they've made plays, but nothing to to warrant 4 first-round picks to say, you know what, we've got to pay them each guy 100 million plus. Like that's just not how you have a good football team. So
at all.
I, I was excited about it. I'm happy that we did it. Was there anybody else that you wanted to see get traded? Because I heard a lot of people say this was a fire sale. I don't know if it was a fire sale. It seemed very specific. We got rid of two guys and two guys who, hey, it just may not have been a good fit here. I think is what it boiled down to.
And on top of that, it's two guys at two positions that we drafted in this season.
Yeah.
Like we all knew that there was only going to be two defensive ends under contract at the end of the year, and that was the two rookies.
Yep.
So we knew that somebody wasn't going to be here next season. And if you were a betting man, you would probably bet Young and Sweat since they were making the most money and they are valuable pieces to trade. I just can't believe Washington actually did it. But to answer your question on, I don't know if it's anyone else I would have liked to see get traded. I know a lot of teams need help in the secondary, but I also know that Cam Curl isn't an elite safety yet.
Yeah.
So teams are probably saying, we'll give you a fifth for him, a sixth for him. But that's the rounds we drafted them in. Why would we do that?
Yeah.
Just be better off keeping Alabama. I knew we weren't going to trade Brissett because, like, there's no other quarterback on the roster. You don't want to call up Jake Fromm to be a backup to Sam Howell because what if Howell gets injured? Like, the season's really going to be over at that point. No disrespect to Fromm, I'm just saying he's not on the team right now. So yeah, I don't really think it was like they weren't going to trade Allen, they weren't going to trade Payne.
Yeah.
They definitely weren't going to trade McLaurin or even Curtis Samuel. I don't think he was going to get traded. So the only two people at the end of the day that I felt like were not even slam dunks, but more likely to be traded were Sweat and Young. And like I said earlier, I think they did the right decision by it sucks because we really love these two players, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. If you look at the rest of the roster, I mean, Curtis Samuel was maybe potentially a guy that could get you something, but really, what was he going to get you? A fifth, a fourth, maybe a sixth round pick? There's not much there. Are you better off just kind of keeping him to help your offense this year? Brissett is one guy I thought that may go because I get he's certainly better than Jake Fromm. Let's be honest here. Jacoby Brissett is a career backup, and he's not going to be on the team past this year. If you can get trade capital, if you can get draft capital for a guy who's on a 1-year deal and will not be part of your team moving forward, and who's only a backup, you do that. You do that every time. And I get why they kept him. It wasn't even so much for the season being done, but hey, they want him to mentor Howell, right? Like Howell, anybody who thinks Howell's not going to you're sadly mistaken. Howell will play out the rest of the season, whether or not he's good. That's a separate discussion. We can have that discussion, but he's gonna play, and I think they just want Brissett there to be in his ear, to help him, to help tutor and mentor him, and that's fine if that's their choice. No worries there. But yeah, I don't think this was a fire sale at all. I think this was specific. Hey, we've got two guys who are going to cost a lot of money, and it's going to hinder us from building this team. We've got to make a choice and move on. And I think they did that. So while some people think it's a tank, I don't see that because if it was, yeah, we would have gotten rid of Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson, maybe Terry McLaurin, maybe John Allen, maybe some of these other guys, Fuller, all of those other guys would have gone too, but they didn't. It was specifically two guys. So, all right, trade's done now. Before we get to the matchup this Sunday, who's going to play now, right? We've got two defensive end spots opening. We've got Casey Toohill, James Smith-Williams. We got the two rookies, KJ Henry, Andre Long. No one's even seen them. We don't know what they look like. F.A. Obata. Mike, who's going to start this Sunday at defensive end for us?
I think I'm confident in saying that JSW, James Smith-Williams, for those who aren't cool, I feel like JSW and Casey Toohill will be the starters.
Yeah.
If you remember in 2021, I'm so glad that John Kine posted this on Twitter because I had the thought in my head, but was not going to do the research that he did. So I'm very appreciative of that, sir. But if you remember, in 2021, we did play a few games without Chase and Young.
Yeah.
And the defense actually performed better than they did when they were in there.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that that's going to transition to 2023. So don't give me you think the defense going to be better? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I think JSW and Two Hill, they'll be adequate replacement level players. Don't expect them to dominate like Sweat
Yeah.
or Young has at times, but expect them to be at least above average, I would say.
Yeah. And I think in during those times, we would talk about it on the pod. Casey Toohill and James Smith Williams, those two guys are going to do what they're told, right? If the scheme says you got to go here, you got to pick up this guy, they're going to do that. They're not going to freelance. They're going to do exactly what they are told, and that is going to lead to the overall success of the defense. Now, are they going to make the game-changing play, the play that can change the course of a game, or that big sack on third down? No, they're limited players physically. They just don't have that type of ability. So, yeah, are they going to be able to do some things that'll help the defense overall? Absolutely, 100%. Are they going to do the things that are going to make them stand out and get highlights on Sports Center? Probably not. That's the difference between a Montez and Chase and Casey Toohill and James Smith Williams for that. So yeah, I think you're right. I think those two guys will be the starters. Hopefully, we get to see some of the young guys, KJ Henry, Andre Long, and then I'm sure Fa Obata will just continue his normal kind of rotation through there. So,
Right.
all right, we've got another game this Sunday. I
Oh
believe it's
yeah,
in.
that's right.
Yeah, right. It wasn't just all trades that happened this week. We do have a football game. The New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. We've got to go. I believe we go to New England to see
Yes,
them.
sir.
Mike, before we kind of start breaking things down, what's your overall thought about New England and where we are as a team here?
I was thinking about this earlier. I think it's been about 19 years since we beat the Patriots. I believe Champ Bailey was still on the team when we
Oh,
beat the Patriots. It was coincidentally, and I didn't remember this off memory. Like it's not nothing I looked up, but coincidentally, when we beat them, that was the last game they had lost until like the following season because they didn't lose the rest of the year at all. They won the Super Bowl and then they won like the next 12 games. I think it ended up being 24 straight wins for the Patriots from 03 to 04, I believe.
must
But
be nice.
nevertheless, um, yeah, it's an interesting game, man, because like I said, it's been a while since I went into a Patriots game versus Washington expecting us to compete.
Yeah,
Like in 2000, I believe it was 2019, Brady was still there, so kind
yeah,
of figured he would get at us. Same thing in 2015, 2011. That was a classic game. I don't know if y'all remember. It was the day after Navy versus Army, so the Navy versus Army end zones were still painted. And Washington, they put on a show. I think was it Banks? I think Brandon Banks threw a touchdown pass to Moss or somebody. Like it was a wild game. Like that game was crazy. And of course, 4 years before that, we got our butts kicked. I think it was like 52-7.
yeah. That was
Cooley
that
scored.
horrible game. Yep.
Yeah, Cooley scored a touchdown late in that game. And like I said, 4 years before that, 03, we actually beat them. So it's been a while. I'm excited to play the Patriots in New England. But as far as getting a W with this team, we just don't know. I'm on edge. I'm always on edge with this team.
Yeah, you are right. I mean, we've seen it this year, right? The lowly Bears. The Bears aren't a good football team. They've only won 2 games and they've looked pretty bad. But when they played us, they were Hall of Famers. Everything worked. I mean, every pass was on point. We got no pressure, right? That defensive line got no pressure at
None.
all. Fields had all day, and they scored 40. We go to the Giants. They signed guys off the street. Like, they weren't even backups because the backups got hurt. These guys, one of the guys was doing a podcast. He was doing what we were doing. And they signed him to be the left tackle, and he dominated Chase. Chase got 2 sacks late in that game, of course, but not after they ran up and down the field on us. So you're right. This is not a guaranteed win. This is going to be a hard fought game. But this isn't, your dad's, your grandpa's Bill Belichick and New England Patriots. They have fallen on hard times themselves.
For sure.
The Patriots are 2-6. And I'll repeat that for anybody who didn't quite catch that, because it does sound weird. They're 2-6. They're not 6-2. They're 2-6. Their quarterback play has been erratic at best, and they are a little bit of a mess. They've got a bunch of injuries all over, and Bill Belichick, the defensive mastermind, has not been what he once was. Right? There is, Tom Brady is not walking through that door. He's retired. He ain't coming back. So this is an entirely different group. But again, Bill Belichick is a great coach, and he knows how to confuse young quarterbacks. So certainly we've got our hands or our work cut out for us. So let's get into it. Mike, this Patriot offense, quarterback by Mac Jones, versus this new look Commanders defense. What are you thinking? What are our thoughts? What do we got to pay attention to?
I'm laughing because I honestly don't know, because they're injured. Like, their top 2 wide receivers, I think one went on IR.
Yeah.
And Devontae Parker, he has a concussion. Like, those are tricky in itself. So, like, they might be out their top 2 receivers. And let's face it, it's not like those 2 receivers were lighting it up for them. If they had better receivers, they would play them. So, off top, I'm already like, this could be a get right game for Emmanuel Forbes. But before I get in more into that, Mac Jones, I never liked him, Brian. Never liked him. The only time I liked him when he was at Alabama. But ever since he declared for the draft, there's been nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, that I've seen from him that makes me go, that's going to be a good quarterback. I was shocked when the Patriots drafted him. I don't know what Bill Belichick was thinking when he did it. Now I'm saying all this, and watch he come out and light us up like
I was gonna say Tyrod hadn't started a game in like 3 years, and he whipped us pretty good. But I will say, for Mac Jones, his rookie year, he made the Pro Bowl. They won 10 games, made a playoff game, and that was with Josh McDaniels, who just got fired from the Raiders. I think we've seen how offensive coordinators can help a quarterback and bring them along. And I think Josh McDaniels helped greatly Mac Jones. And we saw when he had Matt Patricia last year, who was terrible, he got fired. And now he's struggling to pick up this, I forget the guy's name there, the offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien in New England, struggling to pick up that offense. You're right though. We can't, as much as he may not be lighting it up, he might light it up this Sunday against us. So we can't take him for granted. And man, I hope he doesn't have like a Justin Fields or a Tyrod Taylor game against us.
It's like you said, and like I said earlier, with this team, like, they always have us on edge, even with the trade of Young and Sweat. It's not like the defense is lacking on the defensive line. Like, it was the deepest position on the team. So just because you're losing your 3rd and 4th best player, you still got your top 2. Now, I see that John Allen didn't practice today, but it looks like it was like some rest.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't a specific injury.
Yeah, it was him
and Fuller.
Yeah, it was a veteran rest day. So
so like, and it's not like Mac Jones is the mobile quarterback that Fields and Tyrod Taylor are. He's probably the least athletic or the least mobile. I'm sorry, the least mobile quarterback we've faced so far this season.
Yeah.
So that alone makes me feel a bit optimistic. And the only other like threat that they have is their running game, but it's not like Stevenson and Elliott has been lighting stuff up this year. Believe me, I know. I have Ramondre on the fantasy team, my dynasty team, or I'm sorry, and yeah, he's not really doing it for me. So you telling me that Mac Jones is coming? I mean, Mac Jones is playing um, a sketchy defense. They're hit and miss. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. But if you tell me that Mac Jones, without his top two receivers and a mediocre running game, is going against a team that has John Allen and Deron Payne on the line, regardless of the rest of the defense, I feel like this is a game where the defense can eat, feast even. I know they're on a road, but like it's more about the Patriots than it is about us. And it's weird that I'm saying that because it is a Commanders podcast. But y'all tell me, go look at their depth chart. What can they do?
Yeah. I think you're right. Like, I think this game is, for the defense anyway, a game where they can really kind of say, you know what? Hey, we got put on notice this week, right? Two defensive ends. They weren't captains. They weren't. These guys weren't Pro Bowlers or anything like that, but they were popular players on the team. Just got traded. So I think, the defense. I think also the offense too. Everybody has been put on notice. Look, all of you are in an evaluation year. Coaches, players, everybody. And if you want to stick around, you want to keep your job, you better play well. You better know what you're doing, know where you're supposed to be, and execute. If you're supposed to bring that guy down, bring him down. If you're supposed to catch the football, you better catch the football. So I think this is a game where, whether it's the new two starting defensive ends, whether it's the secondary, if they, like you said, Mike, if they can get right here and beat up on an opponent who is reeling right now, and not let that opponent beat up on them and have them get right, I think this could be a good game for the defense. But it's not guaranteed. We thought it was going to be a good game for us against the Giants and some backup offensive linemen, and they took us out. So you're right. It is scary. I'm hoping we can do it, but it's not guaranteed. The Patriots can absolutely do it. Well, that is the Patriots offense versus our defense. Let's talk about our offense coming off a strong performance versus the Patriot defense. Let me start with the Patriot defense. Bill Belichick is a defensive mastermind. That has been his calling card for his entire career. He is a defensive minded head coach, and he's been one of the best. I mean, some of the games that he's put together, the performances against the Peyton Manning Colts, the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, where Tyreek only had one catch the entire game. Like, he has put together some just amazing performances. The Super Bowl against the Rams, where it was like the lowest scoring Super Bowl ever. Um, he knows defense, and he knows how to confuse young quarterbacks, especially. And what do we have here in Washington? We've got a young quarterback. So this is going to be a very, very tough matchup. Now, the Patriots defense this year has not been good. As I said earlier, they are 2-6. That's right. They got 6 losses. This is not the same Patriots defense with Mike Vrabel and Teddy Bruschi and Vince Wilfork and all those guys. Their top corner, right, a guy that some of us wanted to draft, Christian Gonzalez, he's been hurt for weeks now. He's out for the season. We're not facing him. They did get back J.C. Jackson, who's a really good corner and who's playing well. But this defense has been hurt. They've given up. They gave up 3 passing touchdowns last week. They're reeling. They don't get a lot of pressure either, which bodes well for us because we give up a lot of sacks. We got better at it last week. We only gave up 1 sack, but we got to continue that. We can't fall back and give up 5 sacks again this week. So we got to keep that going and limit those sacks like we did against the Eagles. But we really have to have a strong game plan. Eric Bieniemy needs to call a similar game where we're getting the ball out quick. Sam Howell set a franchise record. He had 24 completions in the first half. I saw the Washington PR account put that out. I had not known that was even a record, but apparently it was. And that was the quick pass game. And Eric Bieniemy, it took him 8 weeks to figure out that Sam was good at it. Please call it some more. And please call it against the Patriots, because if we don't, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to see those sacks come back and the offense struggle. So call a similar game plan, but also run the football, please. You've got to keep like, you talk to me about this running game here and Bieniemy's just refusal. It's almost a refusal to run the football. I mean, he ran it a couple times in the first half, and it was almost like, hey, I ran it. Now you guys can stop talking about it. I'm not going to do it anymore. In the second half, maybe 2-3 runs, and that was it.
I was telling somebody, I can't remember who I was talking to, so many people yesterday about the Commanders, but he was like 1 week away from me giving him the Scott Turner treatment.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't start calling quick passes, I was like, bruh, like you can't do this to us. But he adjusted. He called the quick pass, and it was wonderful.
And he was calling.
If he could just sprinkle in some runs, like just sprinkle them in, just you don't even got to do it every 5 plays, every 10 plays. Just run the ball.
And here's the thing: we can run the ball when he puts his mind to it. We can do it, because guess what? The Eagles are like 4th against the run. They're strong against the run, and Brian Robinson had a good day running the football. Didn't have that many carries though. 10 carries. He had over 5 yards a carry. I think it was 5.9.
Almost 6. Yeah, 5.9.
So we can do it. It's just that he chooses not to do it most of the time. Like, he just doesn't want to. And we can't get stuck like that, because if a team knows, hey, it's just pass that's coming, eventually they're going to be able to pin their ears back and rush us and put pressure on us. So EB needs to continue what he started in that first half of the game. Well, really throughout the whole game, is call that quick pass. Please throw in runs. Sam Howell, he had a great game. He had probably 3 throws that were bad. The interception to McLaurin, I don't know about you. That one, it looked like it went through McLaurin's hands. On the replay, I saw it go through there. Could that pass have been better? Sure. We know McLaurin's not a hands catcher. Probably could have put it in his body and it would have been a completion. There were 2 other ones that, were catchable, that were drops. But outside of that, he was excellent. I mean, it was well into the third quarter, and he was like 24 of 25. Just hadn't really missed yet. So I like where he's going. I like how Bieniemy's starting to call the game around his strengths. And I like that we took shots down the field, and we started to connect on these shots. At the beginning of the year, for those first handful of games, we missed those shots. They were taking them, but we were missing them, whether it was to McLaurin, to Dotson. Dotson finally came alive. That was good to see. So this is going to come down to Eric Bieniemy, and if he doesn't get overconfident, if he sticks with the game plan that worked last week with Philly and add in some more runs and keep us a little bit more balanced, I think Eric said it on the last pod, 52 passes is just too much, right? It's okay if you got Patrick Mahomes, that's cool and all, and you got Travis Kelce, but when you got a young quarterback and you're trying to win football games, please call the run. Use the run game.
I completely understand why Bieniemy wants to throw it a lot, because I'm looking at the highlights of Howell from Sunday on the Commanders YouTube page, and like the good passes are really good. They're really good. And of course it's a highlight, so they're not going to show any bad plays, but man, like he is dropping some dimes on these folks, man. So and I know the Eagles secondary is actually kind of suspect. They give up a lot, but for him to nearly he averaging over 375 versus them this season. That is insane.
Yeah, it's a top 10 defense that the Eagles have. Points, yards, like they're a good defense. I know some people want to kind of discredit the performance and say that the Eagles secondary is not that great. They're a top 10 defense. They've only lost one game. Like they're a good football team, and Sam Howell just put up just shy of 400 yards passing on them. So. We got to keep that up, though, right? If we go and lay an egg against the Patriots, then that doesn't mean anything. So, really, Eric Bieniemy is going to need to call that game plan. He's going to need to use screens. He called several screens that helped us. Some of them didn't work last week, but keep calling them. I like Brian Robinson on these screens because once Brian Robinson gets 2 or 3 steps, you better protect yourself because he's going to run you right over. So please keep calling the screens, call the quick passes, use some runs. I thought people were telling me Chris Rodriguez was gonna have 25 carries on Sunday. I don't even know if he set foot on the field against the Eagles, so I don't know if he's gonna play or not. But Gibson had a great catch down the sideline. I like how they're using him when they go 5 wide. Howell looks for him on that little sideline route, and it's worked every time. In the last couple of weeks, he's gotten a couple catches just off of that. So I'm excited about this game and the offense of where they can go. But Mike, you said it. This could go either way because we haven't been consistent enough, and this team hasn't given us any reason to say, okay, this is a win. We can do this. Whenever we do that, we usually get beat. So, any other thoughts about this game? Bill Belichick, Bill O'Brien offense. I think it's Belichick's son who called the defense, Steve Belichick.
I
Any
know that.
yeah, he's he won't trust anybody but himself to do the defense. So
Check this out. It's a dual defensive coordinator. Steve Belichick, that's a familiar name that we know.
yeah.
But guess who the second person is?
Oh,
Gerard Mayo.
Mayo. He's from
Yeah.
Hampton, Virginia. I think he went to what's the school down there? I think it's I can't remember right now.
Yeah, I'm not good with Virginia schools.
But he is from Hampton, Virginia. Oh, good for
Nice.
Gerard Mayo.
So, but other than that, it's a lot to think about with this game, especially with the trades. I'm very intrigued to see how the defense performs. I think we're kind of blessed to face a Patriots offense that's kind of struggling right now. So it's going to be interesting. I can see either a win or a loss this weekend, but I'll get my official prediction in a few.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And when you went over like the other times that we've played the Patriots and they've just dominated us, this is the time to beat the Patriots, right? Like Belichick's at the end of his coaching career. Brady has long retired. Like, if you were to beat the Patriots, this is the time because you weren't doing it during their heyday because no one beat them during their heyday. So take advantage of this. If you want to have a season or get yourself back into it, this is a team you're going to need to beat because we got some real tough games coming up here at the end of the season that no one's going to be counting us as being competitive in those games. So this is something that we can win, and they better get to it because the schedule is getting a lot harder. We still got Dallas twice. So this this is a win, or this is a winnable game, I should say. But they've got to go out and do it. All right, predictions. I've got Ellie's and I've got Eric's predictions, but I'll read those last. Mike, you wanna start out with your prediction?
I was trying to pull up. I'm sorry, the spread for the game. Give me a second. Oh, I can't find it.
Actually,
But
no.
never mind.
You know, go look at those. I'll start with
Oh, I
Eric's.
found it. I'm sorry. Good.
All right, good.
But yeah, we're actually the underdogs. We're 3.5 underdogs, and I get it. Like,
yeah.
it's a lot happening in DC right now, but I'm gonna give us the win. Oh, I don't want to, but it's because we've been burnt so much over the last 2 decades, bro. It's like you don't want to do it, but I'm gonna give us the win. and I'm gonna do it kind of comfortably.
Do
I'm
it.
gonna
Do
say
it.
24. I'm gonna say 24-13.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, we are riding the high of some trades and new owners and new adults in charge. Eugene, this will be the Eugene Shen game. If we win this one, this will be the Eugene Shen. He traded away our two defensive ends.
I was like, who? Oh, yeah, the analytics dude.
Yeah, yeah. The guy just got announced last week, traded away the two starting defensive ends the following week. Like, so he better be right. He better be right about this. So hopefully we win this game. Let me give you Eric. So Eric says, very similar to what you said, comfortable win, 28-13. He says, good guys win it. That's us. Ellie's prediction a little bit different. He thinks that the team is shell shocked from the trades. Everybody has turned on Rivera. It is 22-19 Patriots. Bill Belichick gets us again. Um, I think we have finally started to find an identity on offense. I don't know what the identity on defense is now. We're gonna have to find that because that all got turned upside down. It's no longer the defensive line. We'll have to see what the identity on defense is. But I think Eric Bieniemy has finally understood how he needs to deploy Sam Howell. And I think Sam Howell, after that game against a tough opponent in Eagles, I think he has a confidence now to say, you know what, I can make these throws and I can continue to do it. And I can do it against really good competition and I can do it at a high level now. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the Commanders. I like this 28. I like this 28 number. So I'm going 28-16 Commanders. I think we win comfortably. I think we get some things figured out. I think this is a start to a little bit better, more well-rounded performance from the team moving forward. But any other thoughts, Mike? Anything else you want to talk about? Because a lot did happen this week. We had a lot of trades. We had other things happen.
Oh, I lost you, B.
Yeah, sorry about that. If you want to talk about anything else, you want to talk about Eugene Shen, you want to talk about all the crazy stuff that happened this week. What else you got here for us tonight?
Honestly, I just want to kind of say with the same thing I said last week. Just, um, just roll with the team for the next 9 games. At first, it was 10 games. Now it's 9 games. Um, One way or another, this offseason is going to be very, very interesting. Rather keeping Rivera or getting rid of him. But I would just say enjoy these games because it's going to be such a roller coaster next season. I mean, not next season, but next off season, with looking for a new coach or trying to reason why Rivera is still here. But other than that, man, just enjoy yourselves, watch the game. Try not to argue with each other on social media. Y'all really look lame when y'all do that, especially when you start doing personal attacks, which I haven't seen recently. So I'm gonna applaud y'all for that. But yeah, just enjoy football, live life, have fun.
That's like every day on social media. Uh, now I'm with you. Yeah, this season for me it was always going to be a win overall. Snyder is no longer the team owner. We've got new ownership. There's a possibility now. I knew we're going to have to get through this Rivera era of these handful of games. So hey, just bear with it. We will have a new operation in place this offseason. Like you said, there's going to be a lot of people, new coaches, new GMs. All those things are coming. Hey, could be new players. Is Sam the guy? Isn't he? Is a new quarterback coming? We don't know. But enjoy it because this is the first time we don't have to worry about ownership getting in the way. We don't have to worry about any congressional hearings or any of those things. It's just football. Win or lose, it's football. We can have fun watching these games now. So, um, We will see you guys pregame on Sunday, postgame on Sunday. Hopefully, it's a good postgame. Hopefully, it's a win. Please, if you're watching us on YouTube, like, subscribe, turn notifications on so you know when we drop new videos. The audio podcast, any place you can get your audio podcast, you can find Commanders Declassified. You may see two Commanders Declassified, so make sure you subscribe to the one that says there's posting new episodes. Check out the website, commanders247.com. We put articles up there, the podcast, some other things. Hey, we'll start talking about the draft soon. We got new draft picks that are coming. So stay tuned for all of that stuff. And we will see you next time.